You can write between the 9th and the 10th on any of those.
Okay.
Yeah, ball.
Natalie, can we just check with the students when they would like to have their last session? Because sometimes they already know that they will be studying on an evening where we might schedule a session.
Okay.
Justine and Mildred, please tell us, when would you like to have your last session?
I'm just getting a calendar in front of me quickly and then I'll let you know.
Okay.
So the next Wednesday's date is the 4th, and then you are writing the week of the next Monday is the 9th.
Yeah, I think the 4th would be fine. I don't, if we keep to a Wednesday start, I think the 4th, I'm happy with the 4th.
Okay. Then we keep that session, Natalie.
All right. Is Jacques from UNISA?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Hi, Jacques. No, he's helping me with
sorry. Sorry,
Hi.
Adele. Hi there, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, Natalie.
Hello.
Hey.
Natalie, did we speak about asking Jacques to do something? Was it for the 3701s?
It was for the 3rd years, yes.
Okay, what was it about again?
So they wanted to know if they need to adhere to proper referencing during the exam as with an assignment.
Okay. All right. I will chat to Jacques about that, and then I will get back to you as to when are they writing the 3701s. Let me just check. Sorry, Justine, we just want to do some admin quickly.
They're writing the week of the 27th.
No problem.
Of November.
Said, yeah,
Okay.
27, 28, 29, 30, but I see that's a Friday. But those are the dates they gave.
28 November they gave me.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so yes, we still have ample time for that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Nat, I'll leave you now.
All right. Mildred, you back. Yay. So tonight, ladies, we are going to be talking about personality through self-experience, and we're going to be looking at chapter 17 in your book. And chapter 17 actually starts off with a couple of very penetrating questions, because it asks questions such as, why do people often differ greatly in their experience of something, or tell different stories of the same event? Why do some people see only the positive side of things, while others experience events as negative and problematic? Why do people feel misunderstood? How is it that certain people can find so much meaning in life, even after traumatic events? Why do so many employees complain about not being recognized or not being given sufficient responsibility and freedom in their jobs? These are all very interesting questions. And this chapter is going to try and demonstrate why that is the case. Same people looking at the same situation. If you need to retell that information or that situation to somebody else, you're probably going to get two very different stories. And this is what we're going to look tonight in this chapter. So I'm just quickly going to open the chat line. Why don't I see the chat on my screen? But if you could just please put your student numbers in the chat box, that would be great. I'm just going to share my screen. Can I just check, are you able to see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So again, some of those questions, you know, we're looking at the same event, but we have different stories as we retell that event to others. Why do people always, you know, focus on the negative side of things instead of focusing on the positive side of things? Because you would get individuals in life that their first default position is to go negative. But on the flip side, you also find people in life where their default position is always on the positive side. And what is the difference between those two sets of people? A lot of people also feel quite misunderstood. And why is it that some people can still extract meaning out of life, even after a traumatic event? Like a family losing all their children in a car accident. What are those things within themselves that makes them, you know, get up every day, put one foot in front of the other foot, and still strive and look for meaning and self-actualization amidst a very traumatic event? And then it's the employee complaints, you know. Some people in the workplace are just complainers. Then you have another polar opposite group that just gets on with things, or they will ask for more work because they finished what they've done. But others wouldn't finish anything, yet they would continuously complain about stuff. So that is what we're going to look, and we're really going to look at the background of the humanistic view of human nature. And chapter 17 is really around the humanistic view of human nature, whereas last week the focus and emphasis was very much on the behaviorist theories. Now, the humanistic view of human nature is that the sense of self as a continuous rational process and a combination of all personal experiences and choices made in relation to the world and taking responsibility for these. So it really says that people have a sense of self. And this sense of self helps them to navigate all the experiences that they will come across within the world. Now you can say, okay, then why do people, some act on the positive side and some on the negative side? And really it is that combination of personal experiences. If you go back in history, if you go back into childhood and maybe early adolescence, you would find some of the reasons why that plays out in human beings as it does. The humanistic approach also views humans as being inherently good, positive, trustworthy, and full of potential, and can be developed into optimal functioning. So here they say the default position is that all humans are naturally inherently good and positive and trustworthy. And I think that is a great departure point to jump from. The main premise here is that people are intrinsically good and want to achieve their potential. You know, it's like the one thing when they say that nobody comes to work on a daily basis to not perform. If that is your if that's your mental model as a line manager, your behavior towards people is going to come from that mental model that you hold about people. Whereas if you hold a mental model that says people are intrinsically good and therefore I can trust them because each person is on a journey to achieve their full potential. And my role is to help them navigate so that they can reach the point of self-actualization. As you can see, it's a very different approach from thinking that people are all bad and that they need to be policed and that you need to stand behind them, otherwise nothing will get done. The belief is further that individuals can evolve into fully functioning, self-actualized people to live meaningfully without being enslaved by inner drives or circumstances. Now, you can remember the psychoanalytical view was that people are driven by drives that comes from the id, and that then manifests in people's behavior. And this one is the polar opposite of that. It says we do have control and we can have meaning in our lives without just being slaves to our basic impulses and drives. They say that people can transcend above themselves by being open to all experiences and by rising above the harsh realities of life. Because nobody what's the word I'm looking for? Nobody can escape the realities of life. You could have a very sheltered life, but somewhere in your path, in your journey, is going to be an adverse event. And how do you rise above that? How do you gather yourself? How do you pick yourself up again and look the world squarely in the face and just go on? But go on and still derive meaning and pleasure out of life. So you could say that the main assumptions of the humanistic approach is concerned with strong influence of social factors and important people in individuals' lives have on those individual personalities. So again, we talked also in this course, we talked about nurture versus nature. And I think this point wants to also illustrate how nurture plays a role. If the environment that you grow up in is a nurturing environment, that will help individuals achieve self-actualization and a positive outcome in life and a positive view of life. But the flip side, unfortunately, is also true. Now, we all have subjective experiences as we go through life. And people react to what they perceive through their senses, like seen, felt, heard, and smell, and subjective interpretations of events and phenomena. And this can explain why employees often react so differently to the same stresses at work. Why for the one person it's plain sailing, and for the other person in the very same position with the same stresses in the environment, they respond to it very differently. And I think it is said in the introduction that that is because of the unique composition of people, that they will look to the world and situation through a lens of how they have been socialized and the impulses that they get through their senses. Self-concept is formed by progressive subjective experiences during personality development. Because when you get born, you kind of need to start identifying later in life, who am I? What am I made of? How do I show up in the world? What do I know about myself? The integrated pattern of subjective experiences influences feelings, reactions, thinking in many areas of life, such as values, your attitude towards certain things, relationship with friends and family, occupational choices even, and work attitudes, as well as how people cope with the demands of work life. We've already said that people's experiences are subjectively unique, and it can never be the same as those of someone else. You can have 10 people sitting on a bench. Each one of those 10 people are going to be unique individuals. Some overlaps, but by and large, very unique. And why? Again, because of their experiences that they've gone through. Personality as a gestalt or holistic phenomenon, meaning that personality, not the parts that make up personality, but the whole that makes up personality. Why did that just happen? So, yes, it considers the person and their behavior as a whole. Personality is an integrated whole and more than just the sums of its individual parts. And it's the integration of physical, mental, psychological, and social characteristics and all the attributes and relationships. That is what makes a person function as a whole person. Again, the humanistic approach to personality. Again, humanistics believe in people's intrinsic ability to grow towards healthy adjustment, meaning stuff happens in your life, but you are able to adjust in a healthy way to those things that happens in life. As you gain maturity and you walk into your potential and deliver on some of the goals that you've set for yourself. Self-actualization refers to a person's intrinsic ability to continually choose and achieve what he or she wants to be. And I think that's an important departure point for the humanistic approach. Free will or self-determination. Coupled to self-actualization and people's freedom of choice and ability to be in control of what happens to them. Freedom of choice also means taking responsibility, having an internal locus of control versus blaming others, which would be an external locus of control. And that is what freedom of choice actually gives us. And you decide how you're going to apply that. You find some people in life that something adverse happens to them, but they blame everybody and everything outside of themselves for why things have gone wrong. That would be having an external locus of control. If you have an internal locus of control, it's about, okay, something happened, maybe it's a good or bad thing that happened. You evaluate, what was my role in creating this? Did I actually contribute to what has happened in this relationship? Versus saying it's the next person that is wrong. Because freedom of choice, if you are able to do that and have an internal locus of control that checks your behavior, then you are able to grow as a human being and mature as a functioning human being in society. So as individuals, we all respond to objective experiences as an organized entity to satisfy own needs. The basic motive is to actualize own potential and to maintain and improve yourself. Thus, the organism is an organized, rational entity that controls what they want to experience and want to retain from these experiences. The self-concept may denote self-identity, who you are, and your belonging, and whether you belong somewhere, as that is very important in this approach. Another part is one's self-assessment of self-esteem. So not how others see you, but how you see yourself. And whether that self-esteem or self-assessment of your self-esteem is seen as being either good or bad. And this may also influence various aspects of self-perception. Employees with low self-esteem are more adversely affected by work and organizational issues such as intergroup relations, performance feedback, managerial practices, and other organizational stimuli. Self-efficacy is about having the conviction that you can successfully execute the behavior to produce expected outcomes. Self-efficacy is looking at a situation and thinking to yourself, I can do that. I'm sure I have the ability and the aptitude to do that. People's quest to value themselves will mostly have positive consequences. And I mean, if you value yourself, you're also going to value others, and that's going to come out in your personality and in your behavior. However, overvaluing might be detrimental. If people who pretend or whose aspirations are too high, they might overreach themselves, fail, and experience reduced self-esteem. And I'm sure you've come across people that have such an overinflated self-image of themselves. And those are people that might fall within this trap, you know, that they overreach, they fail and experience reduced self-esteem, because those with a more tempered self-esteem is more likely to be successful. How do we develop maintain the self? Personality development and therefore self-development is a continuous process throughout life. It starts when you are born and it stops when you die. The process of self-concept formation and development centers on the physical, intellectual, and psychosocial spheres of human behavior. If development is healthy, Self-concept development at all stages seems to occur in an integrated way, and the individual is able to be congruent with respect to how different aspects of self-expression coincides. Humanism sees self-concept development as the integration of every person's unique attitudes, perceptions, and other experiences. Self-development is a progressive process where people at different stages of life might be more aware of specific aspects of who and what they are, from a sense of bodily self at infancy to self-maturity, where self-actualization and self-consciousness are as optimal or fully developed as is humanly possible. And I think that's a very positive way of looking at personality. Optimal self-development requires an atmosphere of positive valuing, of acceptance, love, and respect from others. Because if you're an individual that receives that from others, it probably means that you are an individual that also gives that same essence to others. So it is reciprocated. It is not often when you give hate that you receive love back. It is often like for like. So if you want to be respected, you need to treat others with respect. Individuals can only develop into fully functioning people if they experience unconditional positive regard. That is being regarded as accepted unconditionally in relationships so that they feel worthy and are able to develop a complete self-image. And if that is not possible, then you step into the arena of where personalities develop that is just slightly to the left, on the unhealthy side of the continuum. Finding meaning in life. What are some of those motivational forces in becoming a person? One of those is finding meaning in life. People have free will and therefore are responsible for the choices they make in daily events and for the meaning they eventually find in life. I think in colloquial terms, it is said that there are a few things that people need in life. The one thing is having a purpose, and the other thing is being needed. And I think the feeling of wanting to be needed is why a lot of people spend a lot of time and energy on social responsibility initiatives, because it satisfies that need and that longing in them to feel needed. Meaning is the strongest motivational force in people. If I find meaning in what I do, if I find meaning in the relationships I have, I will cultivate those. It will become stronger in me. Even people who have succeeded in many things might still experience discontent and unfulfillment if they feel that their lives have no meaning. And I mean, this is where they say, you know, you can all have all the money in the world, but if you still don't have meaning in your life, something or someone that gives meaning into your life, then it doesn't matter all the money in the world that you have. Work is one of the main tasks in life to which people can fully commit and in which they can find meaning. And this is very true. Many people, many hardworking people find their meaning in the jobs that they do. It's not just a job to gain a salary at the end of the day, but they truly believe in the vision and the mission and the strategic objectives of the company, and they feel they're making a contribution to the economy, to South Africa. They're creating value for people. They are creating positive futures. They are creating wealth for people if you work in the financial sector. And it is that meaning that you derive out of work that drives your behavior, but also sets your self-image of who you are and leads to contentment. This commitment to work should be more in the interest of others than one's own career goals, which is the point I just made. Needs and self-actualization as a force. Maslow has a theory, and he has a pyramid, and I think there's about 5 levels in the theory that says people have to satisfy biological needs first. That is the biological need for food and water, and then for the structure around security. If those needs are not satisfied, they cannot evolve or aspire to higher order needs. So they can't aspire then to love or the need for belonging, or even reach the point of self-actualization if physiological needs has not been catered for. People so focused on the survival instinct that the top levels, they don't even reach those within Maslow's theory. Self-esteem entails the need for mastery and power, and the need to be appreciated by others for the quality of one's behavior. There is a connection between job dissatisfaction and inadequate or no self-actualization. So if you're just a person that just don't care, which means you've not reached a point personally where you feel you are self-actualized, there's a discontent that will also lead to dissatisfaction on the job. And then the manager think, why is this person not performing? And when you go and dig deep behind what are the reasons for this, you would probably find this situation. The person is not self-actualized, has not stepped into their potential, and is like just hanging on, not going anywhere, slowly. And that is what then leads to the dissatisfaction. So it is also said in motivational theory that you need to find out what makes each individual within your team, what drives their needs. Because when you know what drives their needs, you can then behave as a line manager or as an HR practitioner. You can then put those things into the environment so that they can reach a point of feeling self-actualization. But it's a journey. You can't just put a stimulus in somebody's way and then immediately they jump into feeling good about themselves or reaching their potential or achieving their goals. So it is a process. It's not a quick fix. Nothing about human nature is ever a quick fix. You know, one of the things that's very important is that there's a couple of hygiene factors that needs to be in place in any organization that will make people feel valued. And the interesting thing in the period that we are living in at the moment is that if those satisfiers are not in the are not present in the workplace, then it will turn employees towards dissatisfaction. So it's again a very fine balancing game in terms of, so what are those satisfactors that makes people just feel comfortable, looked after, cared for, belong to a particular team or a group or a department? What are those things that we need to inject into the environment that will then cause that sense of being satisfied, so that higher order needs can then be addressed, like treating people well, treating colleagues well, with respect, and doing quality work at the end of the day, because the environment that is being created is satisfying. Rogers is one of the theorists for this theory, and he says that people's self-actualizing tendency is an acquired psychological need also, because people strive to become what their potential allows them to become, which explains people's continuous need to grow, achieve more, and explore further. It is very difficult just standing still on that point in a context where people do not have the means to maybe study further. Because what does grow into your potential means? Grow into your potential at different age brackets would be different things. And in a society where you have free education, free higher education, it's a different conversation that you then have. But if education is still very much elitist and come at a very high price tag, then there would be people that just are unable to access those kind of things. And their full potential might definitely evolve, yes, because of continuous learning and your experiences and your reading ability and all of those kind of things, but it will probably reach maturity a bit later in life. So Rogers then also says that a good life is not homeostatic, meaning that everything is okay, everything is good. A good life, however, is purposefully directed and always striving. So you never arrive. And when you think you have arrived, you just need to set the goalpost a little bit further and a little bit further and dream a little bit bigger and set bigger goals for yourself, so that you don't ever feel that I am in the space of homeostasis at the moment, because that would mean, oh, I've arrived, I stop, I don't need to do anything else. Rather, it is a continuous striving. In some people, the need for acceptance or positive regard might be stronger than the need for self-actualization, and might even impede self-actualization. This is an important one, because it is such a strong drive, the need for acceptance, the need to be looked at being of value, how other people perceive me, do other people look at me in a good light. Self-actualization refers to a continuous, intense involvement in living a meaningful life and using your potential to realize goals through not everything people do, though not everything people do represents self-actualization. Kelly is another theorist. He didn't find in his theory that there was any use of motivational concepts such as traits, needs, motives, or drives. Now, last week we spoke a lot about traits. He feels that people are motivated because they are alive. So whilst you are alive, you are motivated to do certain things. And if you probably get to being very dissatisfied, there's probably not a lot of things that you are motivated to do. In the work context, there should be no need for pull or push to get an employee to perform. An individual will do things, as individuals, will to do things what will be determined by how they think about, anticipate, and predict events through their various constructs and by what constructs are best suited for the event or situations. Sorry about that. According to the humanistic approach, the self as a person is not powerless under the determination of outside events, as proposed by behaviorists, or under the influence of past events or irrational internal and external forces, as proposed by the psychoanalysts like Freud, for instance. Various topics related to the self-concept indicate this human ability to self-regulate behavior and to be personally in control of behavior in relation to events. Externally controlled behaviors might inhibit self-actualization. The concept of learned helplessness and fears of success and failure can be viewed as the opposite mindset when compared with freedom of choice and will to meaning, free will, and finding meaning in life. People in this frame of mind, through their choices and experiences, believe that they have no control over one or more aspects of their lives and that nothing they do has meaning, or they are afraid to take responsibility. And that is just no way. That's no way to live. Their negative behaviors indicate meaninglessness and a fear of taking responsibility or control. So humanists are concerned with healthy personality. They attach importance to personality evolving into its full potential, the real self, and becoming a fully functioning person. Now, I think this has now been reiterated and repeated quite a couple of times in this chapter. So I think when you have to do a comparative analysis in an exam setting, as an example, and ask you to give a critical analysis of the behaviorist theory versus this theory, then you should be able to do quite a good analysis of this. Fully functioning individuals are those who use, recognize, and develop all their abilities and talents to further self-knowledge. So fully functioning individuals, they have awareness of all their experiences. Existential or full and quality living, richness of experience, organismic confidence, confidence in their own decision-making powers, freedom of experience, selectivity and creativity, creativity and adaptability in the face of changes, and having courage to face the problems of life. That is functioning individuals. Now, the flip side can be said for individuals who are not fully functioning. Optimality relates to ongoing growth and the realization of potential and might include aspects such as work and how other tasks and problems in life are handled. So how do you navigate difficult situations? How do you navigate when there are things to do and some are nice things and some are not so nice things, but you know these things need to be done. And in psychology, it says you have reached the stage of optimality, where you do things, the tasks that comes your way, where you navigate, you know, life's problems that is thrown at you. Because nobody's exempt from those. Humanists do not suggest an utopia where people have no problems in life, but they believe in the intrinsic goodness and potential of people. But bad things happen to good people all the time. But it just says in optimality, if you're in that state, then you have sufficiently navigated all of those ups and downs, the mountains and the valleys. These qualities can be realized through the positive influences of other people and the environment. And some of those general influences for optimal growth is the following: unconditional acceptance from others as having self-worth and potential as a person. And where does this start? This starts very early in the family context. Self-regard, which develops in the person through experiences about themselves in relation with other important people. Again, the family circle becomes the vehicle that allows for that. Self-esteem, which develops as the person gets feedback from others and from the manner in which they are accepted, and grows towards and experiences towards self-actualization. So can you see how important the environment is in terms of shaping self-esteem? Positive societal and environmental opportunities and freedom to develop potential and to self-regulate. Those are some of the influences that gets you in that realm of optimality. Now, if these conditions are present most of the time, people have freedom and choices and are able to be in control of many influences in themselves and in relation to others and outside events. Social influences and people's own self-defeating behaviors as serious inhibitor factors in people's quest to develop the real self and to live a full life. Much research relates high self-esteem to having positive feelings and good mental health, whilst the opposite is generally reported for low self-esteem or negative self-evaluation. Rogers also defines anxiety then as resulting from low self-esteem because the individual experiences events as threatening. That's a very important departure point. Oops. So So in summary, where am I now? Sorry about this. I don't know why these things go in and out all the time. So in summary, I think we have now sufficiently looked at the humanistic view of human nature and the impact of the humanistic view on personality formation. So in conclusion then, I think these are probably the highlights in terms of this theory and some of the assumptions around this theory are that all people are unique. They are all intrinsically good and they wish to realize their potential. And I mean, we can debate this one sentence over and over again, but isn't that a beautiful way of looking at people as being unique, intrinsically good, and wanting to realize their full potential? Because if that's the page that you jump from in terms of your relationships with others, it can only go from strength to strength. Imagine a world where you think that all people are bad, all people want to mess up, and nobody will ever achieve their true potential because they are intrinsically bad. That's a very different page to jump off from. So I like the humanistic view in how they look at people, and how people can really then, through that lens, develop a self-image and a self-worth towards actualization. Living and being is best if people are allowed to be and feel free and to execute choices in life. Yet, people do have responsibilities and choices in how they live. Now, as independent beings, who doesn't want to have the ability to execute choices in life yourself? Where you get to the adult stage, you don't have that oversight of parents any longer. And that is why when people reach the adult state, they really want to fly, they want to flee the coop, they want to get out into the world on their own, because they want to have that free will and make their own life choices and not be under the control of the parents, where the parents have the attitude of, you're living in my house, you're living by my rules. What I say goes. And because people have this innate strive within themselves, that is why they venture out at some point to do their own thing and become their own person. If the context of the family and the context of the parental home does not provide for that. In these processes, unique and subjective experiences are very important, because reality for each person is in the here and now experience of life. Motivation to do things and achieve in life is based on intrinsic motivating forces, such as the desire to self-actualize, to find meaning in life, and to exercise self-control and freedom of choice. Healthy personality functioning will be determined by experiencing congruency between self-perception and environmental experiences, by achieving intrinsic potential, by living a meaningful life, and by reaching self-actualization in life. The humanistic approach puts human being in perspective in its emphasis on people's unique experiences, freedom of choice, and internal motivation to develop towards realizing their potential. Justine, you are still with me. Yay. Any takeouts that you got from this lesson today on the humanistic approach? What is your view on it?
I think it's so different from the other approaches.
Very, hey?
Yeah, I might need to go over it again just to actually absorb it properly.
Okay.
But I love that it notices people's uniqueness in the way that they handle situations, and as line managers or as people in, I think you say human capital.
Yes.
I don't know what you call it, but working with people, I think it's really important to notice and to be aware of. So I'm really glad that this is being covered. Yeah, I struggle with it a bit, I think. Just in the sense of like people should essentially be able to handle situations more or less similarly in a work environment. You can't have people crying at everything and other people handling it really well all the time. Like there has to be some sort of congruence in the workplace. But I suppose that's where the responsibility part comes in.
100%. Because you have to take responsibility for your reactions and how you respond to various things. But because we are all so unique, we are going to have 1,001 different responses to the same situation. And I think once line managers understands that concept, then it is great. Unfortunately, a line manager is not always a HR person. They have not studied HR. They don't understand these theories. They were the best technician and now they're the leader of the team. They were the best engineer and now they're managing and leading a team. So their understanding and knowledge of industrial and organizational psychology is limited. That is why organizations have a department that is human capital, that has professionals that understand human behavior. And part of a HR professional's job is also to educate line managers, because you are the subject matter expert. You know how human behavior manifests. You can look at behavior and probably try and pinpoint what is the motivation behind the behavior that you are seeing in the workplace, and truly understand what is at play with these individuals which make up teams in the organization. And that's the role of the human resource practitioner.
Yeah, I think, that's awesome. I was just thinking now also, would it be very important to learn the different theorists' theories, like to know exactly where they stand on each point?
I think as a student of IOP, it is very important because you're actually asking a very good question. Yes, it's important to understand the various theoretical frameworks, because you're going to take potentially IOP until third year and probably do an honors and a master's in this subject. And at some point, if you're not working as an HR professional at the moment, but at some point, should you enter into the discipline, you kind of need to understand how all of these theories and models fit together, because you will develop a model for yourself in terms of how you perform or how you give service to a client base, and from which angle of psychology are you coming from. You are going to find which sounds to you as the sweet spot, and you're going to develop your own practice framework, if you like, around how you show up as an HR practitioner within the field. So yes, it is important, because you might, some things a little bit out of a few may actually work for you. It may resonate with you. And you will start to develop your own model of practice, having studied the various theories and models that are available. So yes, it is very important.
Cool, thank you.
Justine, we shall meet again same time next week if there's nothing else from your side. And maybe in the meantime, if you could maybe go through chapter 18, because that is what we're going to be talking about next week when we meet for the last time.
I'm so nervous. Okay, cool. I will do that.
Not congratulations. Good luck with your preparation. Everything of the best.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.